Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be giving my pattern review of the Simplicity S9376. So this is a pattern that I have been working on since the beginning of this summer. I really love this pattern. So this is a spoiler alert. I really love this pattern and I definitely recommend this pattern. So before we get into all the different versions I've made, I'm going to go ahead and tell you the features of the pattern, what the pattern comes with, and the size the sizes that are included, as well as the fabric suggestions. So with all of that said, let's go ahead and get into today's video. So the Simplicity S9376, this has been a pattern that I've been working on forever, and I have made, I believe, 5 or 6 different variations of this pattern here. Now you can find reviews of this pattern on patternreview.com, and I believe there are a few of my sewing mutuals here on YouTube who have done reviews of this. So I will go ahead and link them in the description, or in my description box. I believe Sarah of the Naughty Gnome, she made these, and I can't remember everyone, but I will go ahead and make links in the description box below so you can get an idea of how they look on different body types. So this pattern here, it comes in sizes 6 to 14 and then 16 to 24. You have 11 pattern pieces within the pattern. However, because you have 4 different variations of the pattern, you're not using all 11 pieces. So just keep that in mind. I believe I used about 5 pieces. So I did view C and D, and so that included the front pattern piece, the back pattern piece, the pocket facing, the back waistband, and the front waistband. So that's 6 pattern pieces for views C, for views D. Now if you make view C, the additional pattern piece there would be the drawstring. The drawstring is basically just for added detail. You're not actually using the drawstring to cinch in the waist at all. It's just for a detail, so you don't even need it. And I did not make mine with the drawstring when I made view C. I just basically wanted the length of view C, and I'll talk a little bit about the length of the pants and things like that in a moment. So the fabric suggestions for this are chino fabrics, corduroy, cotton blends, flannel, linen blends, stretch wovens, lightweight wool, and those types of fabrics. So on average, you're going to need about, if you're working with a 45-inch wide fabric, you're going to need about 2.5 to 3 yards of fabric. But if you're working with a 60-inch wide fabric, you're going to need about 1 5/8 yards of fabric to about 2 1/4 yards of fabric. So those are the fabric suggestions, sizes, and all that other stuff. In terms of views and variations, so for views A and B, they're essentially the same pair of trousers. The only difference is with view A, you don't have to put the loop carriers on your garment, and you also have a center front tuck that you're going to be making for the front and back of your trousers. So you have a tuck for the front and a tuck for the back. I didn't want to make a tuck because I don't really like tucks in my garment, and so I didn't do views A and B. The other difference between views A and B is the hem of the pair of pants. So for view B, you're going to be putting elastic in your hem, whereas view A is just a straight leg, and that's all you get for views A and B. For views C and D, as I mentioned before, view C has a detail in the center front, which is the drawstring that you're going to be putting on the garment. So you do have a buttonhole, 2 buttonholes that you're going to make on the left and the right side of the garment so that you can feed the drawstring through the buttonhole and then put your drawstring through that casing and bring it out and make the tie. Again, the buttonholes aren't really functional for buttons, and the drawstring is not functional for you to cinch in your waist. The closure for all of these versions is elastic. So you have a flat front waistband, which I absolutely love, and an elasticated back. And that's for every version on here. So for view D, this is the variation that I love the most because you have your relaxed trousers that have a cuff at the bottom of your leg. And so the cuff it's not difficult to make, but it is difficult to assess like how long you need to have your trousers because you have that cuff there. So I would definitely say make yourself a mock-up so that you can see where how long the pants will be on you after you make your cuff. So that is one of the things that I would recommend, just simply because the cuff, it is very wide, and so it will be difficult to assess whether or not that would be enough for you, like if it would be too much or not enough length for that cuff. So I would definitely say make yourself a mock-up so you can get an idea of where you want that cuff to hit. The model is wearing the variation D with the cuff, and it is right at her ankle. And so that's where you're supposed to have the cuff, and that's basically where I made my cuff. Now, with that said, I had to shorten my trousers by an inch because it extended beyond that on me. So I decided to go ahead and alter that, and that's the alteration that I have made. Now, I've made, like I said, about 5 pair, maybe 6 pairs of this pattern here. The first pattern that I made was a size 18. I just wanted a loose pair of trousers, and so it didn't matter to me at the time, and so I chose the size 18. So that size that I chose with the linen rayon burgundy fabric is, like I said, a very loose pair of trousers. For that pair of trousers, I made view D, and so I do have the cuff on that variation. So I decided to go back, and because I had so much room in the hip area, I decided to do the size 16. So I did a size 16, and for my second pair, I made it out of a rayon navy blue, rayon linen navy blue fabric that I purchased from Joann Fabrics some time ago. Now, the burgundy fabric I also purchased from Joann, but I had recently made that purchase about 2 months ago when I actually first started sewing this pattern. The navy blue fabric I had from years ago, and it was in my stash. So I decided to go ahead and use that particular fabric for my size 16. And I absolutely love it. I love these trousers. Now, for the second pair, I decided not to do the cuff. And so that's basically view C, but without the drawstring. So I absolutely love this pair here. And then I also had enough fabric left over that I could make a simple top. I had to make a top that required about less than 1.5 yards of fabric. And so I decided to go ahead and make this butterick top that is basically a TNT pattern of mine. It's basically a peasant top that has a gathering around the neckline with elastic, just simple, easy top, and I decided to go with that, and so I made a set out of that. So absolutely love these trousers, and I love the set that I was able to create with that. For the third pair of trousers, I decided to make a black pair of trousers because I wanted some black trousers in my wardrobe because, you know, black goes with pretty much everything. So I made view D again. And this time, instead of making a size 18, I made the size 16, just like I made with the navy blue trousers. The only difference is I decided to put a cuff at the bottom of those trousers there. Really like it with the size 16 instead of the size 18 with the cuff. And I think I even graded in the hip even beyond the 16 just a little bit, not quite a 14. I believe I graded in between the 14 and the 16. So I really like those trousers as well. When my daughter saw the black pair of trousers, she was like, I really want to have a black pair of trousers as well that I can wear to work. Can you make me some as well? So for the fourth pair of trousers, I decided to make my daughter a pair of these same black trousers. So she has the size 18. I have the size 16 for the black trousers, but they both look just amazing. Absolutely love them. And then for my last pair, I decided to use this beautiful mustard colored tinsel denim fabric that I purchased from Joann Fabrics. It was in the spot check clearance section here. And I thought, hey, this would be perfect for this Simplicity S9376, which is a pattern that it calls for, like I said, it calls for chino, corduroy, cotton blends, flannel, linen blends, stretch wovens, and lightweight wool. It doesn't call for denim or lightweight denim. However, I wanted to get something like it, kind of like a drapier type look to it. And I saw these trousers on Pinterest, and I pinned them about 2 or 3 years ago. And I've been looking for fabric to make these pants forever. So I decided to go ahead and give it a try. It works out pretty well, and I absolutely love it. Now, the alteration that I did with these pair of pants, so I made view C without the drawstring. I did not want to have the cuff on this one, but this time I wanted to make it how my Pinterest inspo picture looked. So I wanted to have ties at the bottom of the pair of slacks. And so I made I believe the tie pattern is about 3 inches, maybe 3.5 inches wide. And I cut out some strips that are about, I want to say it's about maybe 7 inches or 8 inches long. So I cut out 4 of those, folded them in half, stitched them down, turned them out, and attached it to the bottom of the pant leg. And yeah, so that's all I did to create the tie pattern. In terms of the elastic in the back, so you do have a channel that you're creating in the back of the garment so that you can feed elastic through the garment. It calls for a 1 3/4 yards of 1 1/4 inch wide elastic. So I didn't have 1 1/4 inch wide elastic. I was working with 1 1/2, and so it was a little bit thicker. So what I had to do is I had to take that out in my seam allowance when I was attaching the waistband to the waist of the pants. So what I did, instead of doing 5/8 of an inch, I did a 1/2 inch for my seam allowance. And so I was able to get the extra room for my 1 1/2 inch wide elastic. So you might have to do some tweaks depending on how wide your elastic is, but that's what I did for the back of my garment for the elastic. And I also did this little trick where instead of just leaving the elastic in the garment like that, as it is when you feed it in, I decided to actually stitch on the back of the waistband so that the waistband don't shift and don't move as I'm sewing with it or as I'm wearing it. So, and basically I just sewed right down the middle of the waistband and made a stitching line right across the waistband with a 3.5 inch stitch length. So that's something that you can do, but it's not suggested here in the instructions. And speaking of the instructions, I found the instructions to be very straightforward, very great in terms of following along, and they have really great steps and illustrations, and so you won't have any issues there. So anyway, that is my review of the Simplicity S9376. Thank you all for hanging out with me today, and I hope you all have a blessed and happy sewing week. Bye.